Today I'm going to talk about ad frequency in LinkedIn ads and how it is a kind of misunderstood and undervalued metric. So I'm going to walk you through how a campaign that we ran on LinkedIn ads where 65% of the pipeline came in months 6 and 7, and how this kind of shows why LinkedIn ads frequency is so critical to making LinkedIn ads campaigns show positive return on ad spend. Start with what it is. It's a measure of how many times the same person in your audience sees your ad in a given period of time. Usually I look at it monthly. It can be viewed in Campaign Manager at either the account level, the campaign level, the ad set level, or the individual ad level. So just to give you kind of a visual aid, this is looking at it at the ad set level. So you would navigate to columns and then delivery, and it's a kind of formula basically where frequency equals impressions divided by reach. Because as we've discussed in other videos, just because someone's in your LinkedIn ads audience doesn't necessarily mean that they're being exposed to your ads, because people don't log into LinkedIn every day. You'd see in this campaign audience penetration is just above 20%. All right. The benchmarks I typically use are if it should be 0 to 2x, I'd say it's under frequency. If someone only sees your ad, one or two times a month, they're not going to remember it. And so you're basically wasting budget on ghost impressions. My target zone is usually 3 to 5 times a month for cold campaigns. This is like enough touch points to really build recall. I'd rather be on the upper end, but anything over 3 I'm okay with. Above 8, if you're talking about the same creatives, above 8 it's a little bit too much. You're risking ad fatigue and starting to waste budget on diminishing returns. LinkedIn's defaults will push you to an audience that's too big to saturate, right? So if you have, a budget of 4K a month with a 50,000 person audience, that's going to result in a frequency of a little over 2.5x, which is, below my target, right? So I'd much rather have a 25,000 person audience of like the best possible people within that set, right? And get a frequency of 5K a month, a 5x per month rather. So from budget to audience size in kind of 4 steps, right? So let's say you have $4,000 a month that you can spend total. So you want to calculate the percentage of that you're going to use for cold, for new prospects that haven't engaged yet. So it's 80% usually. So 3,200 for cold. You're going to estimate basically the number of impressions you're going to get a month. So you can use a CPM. $50 is usually what I use as a stand-in or your own data. So you're going to be able to buy 64,000 impressions. You estimate the reach, so you want 5x frequency. So 64,000 impressions divided by reach of 5 is 12,800. And then you back into the total audience, because by multiplying by 2, because generally only 50% of a given audience is active on LinkedIn at a given time. So 25,600 people is the number of people we want to be prospecting to. There are 2 different levers that are often confused. One is frequency, the other is recency. So frequency, how many times the same person sees your ad in a given period. The lever there is kind of audience size relative to budget. Recency is how frequently a person engaged, which drives these retargeting windows. The lever there is whether you're doing a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, 180-day retargeting window. So to give an example of why frequency matters and why I've talked about elsewhere, a campaign for Creative Studio where we spent a little over $20,000 over the course of 7 months, generated more than $400,000 in pipeline. Months 6 and 7 produced 65% of the total pipeline. So frequency really works when you let it stack over months and months and months, so that the same audiences are seeing your ads, ideally not the same exact ad, but seeing the same ads 3 to 5 times a month for months at a time, which gives them enough time to start entering the buying window and remember you as kind of a key vendor they have to consider in that space. Just to show, here it is, right? So months 6 and 7 are June and July of 2025. That's really where we kind of shook the tree in the first couple of months and got some pipeline right away. It was quiet for 3 months, and then more than half the pipeline comes in month 6 and month 7. So a lot of people ask me about the LinkedIn ads frequency cap. It's a relatively new feature. I would say it's often misused. People worry too much about hitting too high a frequency and don't worry enough about not getting high enough. I would use it when your budget is large enough relative to your audience that you're risking oversaturation, or if you have a bottleneck on an ad creative. So if you're running the same creative for 30 plus days and you're hitting frequencies above 5, and there's no way to get new creative through either through the design cadence or approved by brand, then start thinking about frequency cap. Or if you're seeing signals of fatigue, people are complaining that they're seeing the same ads over and over again, I would leave it off when, if your budget's under 5K a month, you don't need to worry about it. If the audience is small, like if it's a tight ABM audience where you're running fairly personalized content, I also wouldn't worry about it too much. In general, LinkedIn will cap frequency for you. So all things being equal, if certain users have seen your ads quite a lot of times, it will start trying to figure out ways to kind of get in front of people that you haven't reached already. Yeah, I mean, especially underspending relative to your audience size based on the calculations I went through earlier in the presentation, it solves a problem you don't have. So the most important, I think, lesson or takeaway is that you should match audience to budget so that frequency takes care of itself. I mean, you're shooting for 3 to 5x frequency per month. So if you're not monitoring that already, then start. It's very important. So, thanks.